A message from the staff of the Soufriere Comprehensive Secondary School.
Are you hosting an event?
Soufriere FM, the new home of Let's Connect. Join us every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. with your host, Renata D'Souza. Also live on Facebook. We present to you updates on local activities, events, businesses, initiatives, and upcoming opportunities for all. Join us every Tuesday right here on Soufriere FM and online. Don't miss it.
We can win this war. Get vaccinated, taking our life back. Get vaccinated, we know what to do. Get vaccinated, COVID-19 we won't lose to you. Oh no, take 2 doses, take our life back. Time for a brand new day. Take 2 doses, take our life back. To live and work and play. Take 2 doses, take our life back. The health experts we trust. Take 2 doses, take our life back. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
Let's take our life back with a safe and effective AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. The mobile vaccination drive is coming to you. Visit the Ministry of Health and Wellness and Bureau of Health Education Facebook pages for more information. Let's take our life back. Vaccinate for you, for yours, for us.
Get vaccinated.
This message is brought to you by the Bureau of Health Education of the Ministry of Health and Wellness and this station.
Casualty 911, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. with the consultant. Health is not merely the absence of diseases. It is your social, economic, physical, spiritual, and mental well-being. Just imagine you on 88.5 Soufriere FM, talking, questioning, sharing your experience, information, education, entertainment, news, instructions, advice on diabetes, high blood pressure, strokes, menopause, AIDS, pregnancy, sex.
Sex? Did you say sex?
As prescribed. Take your medication, exercise, and diet. On 88.5 Soufriere FM. Tell a friend, call your neighbor. Casualty 911 is on.
Soufriere FM. It is now 14 minutes past the hour of 10 a.m. Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Soufriere. Good morning, those of you joining us on Facebook. It is now time for Casualty 911. I am Lencia Mathry, and joining me in studio today is the lovely Louisa Wilson. And we're also joined virtually with Miss Fawn Minville. Good morning to you, Miss Louisa, and welcome back inside the studio of Soufriere FM.
Good morning, Lincia. Good morning, all our listeners. This morning, let me apologize for our late start. Reason being, we're trying new technology and we're seeing how well it will work for us for future references. So let me say a warm and hearty good morning to all our listeners at M&C, our market vendors, and everyone out there. And welcome back, students at school. I know the challenge is on, but I think most parents are happy that school is open. Let me not forget my colleague, Fawn. Fawn, are you hearing us?
Yes, I can hear you.
We're trying to log on.
Yes, I can
I'm
hear
not
you.
hearing Fawn. You hearing her?
Her mic is muted.
Oh.
No, it's not.
Okay, so
My
just give
camera
us
is
a
off.
little time. Let us see how that works for us. Fun morning.
Good morning. My mic is not muted.
I'm not hearing. Phone, if you can hear us, can you unmute your mic, please?
She said her mic is not muted. We're not hearing you. So bear a little patience with us, listeners. This is our first trial run, and we're hoping that things can work out.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I
She
can
said her
hear
mic is.
you.
Good morning to you, Phone.
Good morning.
On.
Yes, I can hear both of you clearly.
Oh, wonderful. So, I just said a quick good morning to our listeners, and we're hoping that this. I've already told them that we're just giving a quick trial run to see how things work out for us virtually. And would you like to introduce our topic for this morning?
Okay, great. So, thank you for welcoming me back. It has been a long time since I've been on the radio. I hope the listeners have not forgotten my voice.
I don't think so.
Okay. So, this month of November, we usually observe World Diabetes Day on the 14th of November. So, in observance of World Diabetes Day, which began in 1991, in order to raise awareness about this condition, which has been affecting so many people worldwide, a day had been dedicated to diabetes awareness. So, on our program this month, we will be highlighting diabetes, various aspects of it. The theme for 2021 is access to diabetes care. If not now, then when? Now, we know that many people in St. Lucia are living with diabetes. Many people are pre diabetic. Some people are at high risk of having diabetes. Some of them are living with it diagnosed as well as undiagnosed. So, with bearing all of this in mind, this month we are going to focus primarily, as I said, on diabetes. Today we will start off with a general overview of diabetes, have a look at type 2 diabetes, maybe gestational diabetes, a general overview, signs and symptoms, that sort of thing. But as we go along throughout the month, we would like to highlight other aspects, which include, for example, managing diabetes, reducing your risk of or delaying the onset of diabetes, complications associated with diabetes, and to also bring forth to the public a number of services which are available to people who are living with diabetes. And among them, we have the Diabetic Retinopathy Clinic, we have foot care, we have the Chronic Disease Self Management Program. So there are several services available, and we would like to highlight them so that those people who are living with diabetes will make a very special effort to make use of all of those services that are available through the public health system. So my colleague Louisa will take it from there, and I will join you off and on throughout the program.
Thank you, Fawn. Let me just say I am so happy that you mentioned the different services that are being offered, especially at our wellness centers. And we will be mentioning these in the near future. And we just want persons, if you're hearing this program and you have friends and family members that might be in the fall in the category which Fawn mentioned, feel free. Um, Make sure that they can contact our wellness centers and get more information on these services. But we will be producing all this information to you, especially for our region. So one of the things about diabetes, on shay moun ka di ko, mweni sugar, mweni pisadu, mama mweni, epi, fi mwen vini men bagay la too. And you know, sometimes it's in our family, it's hereditary, it's one of the risk factors, but we don't tend to take care of ourselves. And that's what we need to do, because many times we have these issues and you know it's already in the family, but you don't take heed, especially in your younger days. You wait when you starting getting older to eat properly and do things, to try to control it. But I just want to say to the young people, if you know you have, or any disease for that matter of fact, it's in the family or based on your lifestyle, it's leading to that, take action. Because prevention is key. Don't wait last minute when you actually diagnose to take action. So every time we've been speaking about diabetes and a lot of people don't, take heed, but we want persons to actually think of so many things as it relates to diabetes. You see them around you. You see people that are diagnosed with diabetes around you. You see the amputations. You see, the glaucoma, loss of the blindness, and you see all of that. But yet still, we still don't take heed. We continue living our lifestyle as if it will not affect us. But it is there, it is real, and we want persons to be mindful of all these things. So, what is diabetes? It is a chronic disease when there is a high level of sugar in the blood. And persons to be mindful of all these things, what you eat, what you drink, and that's what we're asking persons to do, be mindful of all these things. And there are two types of diabetes. There are different types of diabetes. There is type 1 diabetes, there is type 2 diabetes, there is gestational diabetes. But I'll go on with the type 1 diabetes. It is when the pancreas is unable to produce insulin or is not able to produce enough. So many times, when we eat our foods, we drink, and so on, we end up doing more harm than good to our body. Because don't forget, we have different parts of the body, and each part and organ have their own functions. So part of the function of the pancreas is to ensure that your body has enough insulin. But if, based on everything else, the pancreas is not able to function properly, then you definitely have a problem there as it relates to the production of insulin. And your type 2 diabetes is when the body is unable to produce insulin. Okay? Now, hearing all of that, I know some people say, oh, je peux prendre insuline tous les jours. Je peux prendre insuline and all these things. So people have to be mindful. Sometimes you might have the type 1 diabetes, you might have type 2 diabetes. It all depends on the age group and how long you've been diagnosed with diabetes and how well you take care of yourself. So, what are the signs and symptoms of diabetes? So, de lè nou ka di kon on chayan nou kani sin pisa doa ebe sugar ep nou pa sav se sa nou ni. Because de le nou hen sin sugar nou ka vin pe, nou ka pe ay we dokter, nou ka pe pou moun sav nou ni pisa do. So nou ka wete la kay nou, ep nou ka bwe tout kalte wimed wazye, ep tout sa moun di nou nou ka fey, pito nou ay sav si nou actually ni malade la, ebe nou panin. So de le sin nan pou pisa do, ebe sugar se, ou toujou swef, like you have an excessive thirst. Ou toujou swef, ou toujou ka senti ou swef. Plou bwe glo, plou ka senti ou swef. E bon ka toujou senti ou faim. Plou manje, plou ka faim. E pi ou ka pisse on chay, ou ka leve pisse on chay. Ça va means si ou ka pisse on chay, ou ni pisse adou, hein? But la ni a moun, tout minute ou ka we yo vay pisse. Yo pa hachebe pisse yo vay pisse. Ki yo bwe glo, ki yo pa bwe glo, yo toujou vay pisse. So ça c'est sin pour dire le ou ni sugar. Eh ben, just kon ka senti moun nan just perdon shy weight. Even piti. So just weight loss is one of the factors. And ou toujou las. Unexplained tiredness, like you always tired. And that's one of the things we have to be mindful of. You get blurred vision, akodi, loka we, ou pa ka bien we clear, ou ka we tube. So pa ka we bay la clear. L'autre bagay la se, l'on ni yon bobo, ebe on nou koupe, i pa ka jewi vite, i ka pon chay tan pou jewi. E pon chay moun ka ni se kalte bobo sa la, et yo pa ka vey we dokter. Yo ka met tout kalte wi med dan lay, but that could be one of the signs and symptoms of diabetes. The numbness and tingling of the hands and feet, that is, là ou ka senti angoudi, an la main, epi an pied, and the tingling sensation. Help me out with the tingling sensation. I don't know how to say it in Creole. La kodi ou ka senti pied ou ka piche ou. Right, Fon? And the erectile dysfunction. On chay nom, la yon ni pisadou, ebe yo poko sa yon pisadou, be se yon an se sin nan yon ni, se sin pisadou a, se yo pa ka wed anko, yo pa ka bien wed. So, la yo senti se bagay sa la, tapi souple, pa kwi hair there, bwe, wi medwaze, gade pou Viagra, gade pou se bagay sa la, but gade problem sa la, alongside lot problem ou peni, ko lot sin maladia, epi find out si ou ni pisadou, because si ou just wait pou pa wed, sa ni so problem ou ni. So, tout se bagay sa, de lay pa pisadou, but de lay se sa diabetes or sugar ou peni. So, se bagay sa la, se sin pisadou, ebe diabetes. Ebe se nouve moun, la ou ka senti se bagay sa la, pou ale an di dan health center, ko yo kay fe, on ti test ba ou, se men ti test la yo ka piche ou la, e pou gade level sikou. So, ou sa fe sa an de manye, de le yo ka vo ay an lab la point test ou, e pi yo ka dou pa manye anye apre menuit, e pou ka yon test la pou yo check blood glucose level ou, e ben, yo ka fe ti test la ko yo ka ba ou ti piche ya, e pi yo ka check glucose level ou an di de ansa. So, la yo fe tout se bagay sa la, yo ka do ki sa blood glucose level ou ye, Besa le sa, yo kay diagnose ou si ou diabetic, ou pa diabetic. Alright? So ti test la yo ka ba wa, ti piche ya, ep yo ka me ti et san an le ti strip la. So you just ka check blood glucose level ou, but pou real test la, pou really sav souni pi sa do a, se le ou pwen lot test la ko ka fe fasting nan. Alright? C'est ça, iye. Mais tout les tests là, bon, mais l'autre là, c'est ça qui ka really ba ou surety. Et puis, pitié yo ka ba ou ka pitié ou là, c'est ça yo ka nek fait sous l'Ovinia Health Center, yo ka check blood glucose level ou, kale si kou ho, si kou ba, et bagay kon.
Ms. Wilson, sorry to cut you short, but we know that there are different types of diabetes. So when one has been diagnosed with diabetes, what happens after?
Okay, so when one has been diagnosed with diabetes, what happens after? One, you will seek medical attention. The doctor will tell you, yes, you have diabetes, no, you have diabetes, no, you're pre-diabetic, and so on. Based on that, they will ask you to change your lifestyle. They might refer you to a nutritionist based on what you're eating, what you're drinking. If you're obese, yes, that's one of the contributing factors. And they might refer you to a nutritionist and also put you on certain medication. So it all depends on what your lifestyle is. If you can control your blood sugar. Now, the process of treatment is over time. You have to see how well you can, how should I say, control your blood sugar level, your diet, and so on. Because some people, they do not take their medication, they're not compliant, and their blood sugar level keep on going up. But there's some people that exercise like they should, they eat the healthy foods in the right portions, as well as they take their medication. So some people have it under control, whereas some persons tend to be a little bit more hesitant, because behavioral change don't come overnight. Because if I'm accustomed of eating 5 mangoes and you tell me eat half a mango, so you know it comes at a time where persons have to make up their mind to change so many things about their lifestyle so that they can control diabetes along with, you know, the doctor's medication. Not only doctor medication, but doctor medication as well as your diet and exercising. All three of them goes hand in hand. They go hand in hand, sorry. So you have to be mindful of all these things as it relates to treatment and, you know. Another
I would just
thing
like
persons
to.
might be, you were saying something, Lydia? Oh, funny?
Okay, I just wanted to add that a lot of the things that Louisa mentioned in terms of how quickly people would decide to actually take in the information as it relates to how they eat or the medication and so on. It has a lot to do with denial. Some people take a very long time to accept that they actually do have the condition. So unless they have accepted that they actually have the condition, it becomes very difficult for them to take on board and put into practice any of those guidelines that are being shared with them or to use the medication. Another thing I just wanted to point out is the importance of having a good relationship with your health provider when you, particularly when you have been diagnosed, for example, with diabetes. There are a lot of people, the doctor may prescribe certain medication for them, and they start taking it, and they feel that it's not working, or they are experiencing certain things, and rather than go back and have a conversation with the doctor or with the nurse, they would just stop taking the medication. So I want to encourage everybody, when you have been put on a regime of medication, let doctor about one we made pour cycle. C'est pour monitor call, c'est pour check ki manye body ou ka react la, ou ka pon remed la, ek pa kwe pitet tout bay ka just travay la mem. E ben, premye remed la yo ba wa ka y travay bien. So, ou ni pou gade ek pon not tout sa ka ale la ou ka pon remed la. So, ou sa ni yon konversasyon ek nos la, ou sa ni yon konversasyon ek dokter la ou viye. So all of that is part of the monitoring process, because remember, managing that condition, it's teamwork, but the person who is living with the condition is the person who is primarily responsible for the health. So if you don't say to the health provider, to the nurse, to the doctor, I'm experiencing this, that, and the other, or they would not know. And you cannot just take it upon yourself to stop all medication and decide that they don't know what they're talking about, they don't know what they're doing. Okay? I just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much. And also, do we have any counseling or any education drive provided for those persons who are hesitant and not willing to accept the condition?
Usually the nurses would have some kind of counseling sessions with the patient privately, as well as when you go to the various wellness centers, you may encounter an educator who is doing sessions related to diabetes, explaining exactly what it is and giving some reinforcement to what has already been said to you by the nurse or the doctor. You have your nutrition officer or nutritionist giving nutritional counseling, helping them to put together a meal plan and other related things in terms of taking into consideration a lot of different factors. So when you go to the nutritionist, hopefully we can have one on this month. When you go to the nutritionist, it is individualized. So it's not a one fit for everybody. So they will ask you certain questions to make sure that they can give you something that you can work with without too much trouble. Louisa, I don't know if you want to add anything else to that.
Oh, no, Fawn. I think you hit the nail right on its head. I think we have, you've covered it more or less. Yeah? So, in listening to Fawn, I think what Fawn mentioned a little while ago about the medication is so timely, because every time we go to the wellness centers and we speak to persons, they say the same thing about taking the medication, or they decide to skip a day and take it another day, and so on. And I'm so happy that Fawn was able to mention, so happy that Fawn was able to mention this, because you know, because we see it all every time, and we hear people talk about it all the time. And hearing Fawn say it over the radio is a message to all our listeners out there. It's a teamwork, like she said, and you can always go to your nurse, your doctor, have that relationship with your nutritionist, and so on. So Fawn, I think that point is ideal. Another thing we want to mention about is after you've diagnosed with diabetes, Fawn did mention about the denial. And I can tell you, men, women, a lot of us are in denial, especially when we're diagnosed with diabetes. And I want persons to be mindful whether you want to accept the fact that you're diabetic or not. If you need additional counseling, there are many diabetic groups that are active, and you can hear other person's situation. You don't have to be, come in and say that I am diabetic, but you can. I know they'll say Wellness Center have a very active diabetic group, and they meet on a Wednesday, and you can hear their situation. You can hear what they go through, and based on that, you can get an idea of what it is for some people experience, and then maybe you can make an informed decision of what you should do, what you should not do, and so on. Sometimes a support group is very, very important, and I want persons to remember that there are support groups around. Feel free to join certain support groups and so on. And another thing we want persons to be mindful of is, if you know somebody is diabetic and they lose weight, be mindful what you say to that person. Some persons, they don't think before they speak, and based on what you say to that person can really hurt that person's feeling. Like you say, Monsieur, can you have pity quoi? Only sugar? Bam. One time somebody might feel offended or they might feel bad. So all these things we want persons to be mindful of. Give our own people the support that they need. All right? Okay. So some of the risk factors, I know I have not mentioned the risk factors. I mentioned one or two, but obesity. And we've been preaching that for a very, very long time. I think every time you go to the wellness centers, persons they weigh themselves, they realize that they're obese. And obesity is one of the risk factors for diabetes as well as other diseases. And we have to be mindful of that. Our weight, a lot of us cannot control our weight, but it is something that we should really work on. We take it in small strides, but you have to do it. And I see a lot of the ladies exercising on an afternoon in Soufriere, or you can exercise on your own. You can do these things. You eat your right portions, and persons like to come with the excuse to eat right. It's very expensive. But just look at it in our local context. You have all the local fruits around you. You have nice, clean, fresh water you can drink. You understand? You don't have to be going and buying you have to go and buy the grapes or the pears. Guava and the apples. Guava is in season. Golden apple is in season. Orange is in season. Grapefruit, lemon, you name it. All these things are around you. So it doesn't take much. And your small portion, it goes a long way. And we always have ripe bananas. Always. So you can make your smoothies. You can
Not these days, Louisa. Banana is gold.
Oh, yeah. Commodity. That is so true. But slowly but surely, we will get back to the bananas. We'll get the banana supply up and running.
I just wanted to add in relation to obesity. Let us try to be very intentional in terms of if we want to know what our status is. So, most of the public may not know, some of you may be aware of the measurement that the nutritionists or the nutrition officers use, the body mass index. So you can always go in and have that checked for you. So that is, they use two variables, your height and your weight. So you can check hotel, you can check l'âge, you can check comment on peut peser, and they will come up with a number. Based on that number, the nutrition officer or the nurse would say to you, you have a normal body mass index, you are overweight, or you are obese. Now, in terms of obesity, we're trying to get an idea of the amount of fat that we have in the body. But the other thing that we have to look at too is fat distribution. So it's not just to look at the person's size. So one of the other risk factors is related to the distribution of the fat. So people who carry a lot of weight around their middle section, so around the belly area, and there's also a measurement for that, a guideline for that to help you. So those of you at home, if you have a measuring tape, you can take it out. For men, 40 inches or more would put your risk a little higher, would mean that you're at a higher risk. And for ladies, 35 inches or more. So you can take out your measuring tape, measure yourself, and you'll have an indication. Based on that, you may decide, you know what, either I better go in, have a chat with the nurse, get my BMI checked, and you can get the ball rolling. There are things we can do at home to check for ourselves. There are also online, for those of you who use the internet regularly, BMI calculators. So if you know your height, you have a scale at home or by a friend, and you get your weight, you can put in the numbers, you will get your result, and there will be an explanation as to where you are in terms of BMI. So let us be a little more proactive.
Can you just tell us, is there a schedule for visiting the nutritionist or the nurse at the various wellness centers or the hospital, or can persons just walk in?
So in our region, most of the diabetic and hypertensive clinic, except for Delse, is on a Monday. So you can go in on a Monday, and you can ask to, if you want an appointment with the nutritionist, they will give you her contact number, or they'll make the appointment for you, and they'll tell you what day she's available or what day she'll be at the wellness center, or they might decide to give you her number. Okay. But if you have any other, you want to speak to the nurse about any other stuff, you can always call the wellness center, and the nurse can probably give you a time that is more convenient to her. Fawn, what about your region?
It's about the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so you could always come in or call and let whoever you speak to know that you would like to see the nutritionist. Anybody can make a referral for you. So you can come in, have a little conversation. I think it's usually better to come in, maybe have a chat with the nurse and so on, and they will make the referral for you so that you can see the nutrition officer or the nutritionist.
So the other thing is increasing age is one of the other risk factors. I mean, as we get older, our body don't function at the optimum level when we were younger. So therefore, that's one of the risk factors. Eating more and a family history of diabetes. So if you know you have a family history of diabetes and so on, like I said before, that's one thing you have to be mindful of, and start checking your blood sugar level and making sure that you do what you're supposed to do. Less physical activity. I know some of us, every day we say we're going to start exercising, including myself, and we never start. So that's one of the things we can do. And it doesn't have to be going on the road walking. It can be just 15 minutes around the house. Doing small things, small aerobics. Online have 15 minutes exercise, this kind of exercise. Yeah. Or various apps on your phone which can give you a little, you know, incentive to start exercising, doing various stuff at home. Get a mat and start doing things in the comfort of your own home and these things. And the other thing is stress. You know, many of us have our own family issues, our own problems, and stress can really, really have an impact on the body. And sometimes when you have so much stress, you tend to lose yourself, forget yourself, and sometimes persons who have stress, you know, do eat a lot, especially a lot of unhealthy foods. So these are all things we have to be mindful of as it relates to risk factors. Fawn, do you want to add anything?
Oh, I think you have it covered more or less.
Thank you.
Maybe we can, in the interest of time, also just touch briefly on um, another risk factor, or did you have them ready to go?
Um,
I was thinking in terms of gestational diabetes.
oh, okay. You want to speak on that one a bit?
Okay, so one of the other risk factors in terms of type 2 diabetes, or the one we call lifestyle induced diabetes, is pregnancy related. So sometimes during pregnancy, a woman may develop diabetes, and that does not necessarily, anybody who is pregnant can develop diabetes. Yes, there are factors that put you more at risk, including BMI and so on. If, for example, you had a baby who was born 9 to 10 pounds, you had a previous pregnancy where the baby was born 9 to 10 pounds, you have parents or siblings. So some of the risk factors are the same. But what we would like to point out is that if you had gestational diabetes, it also puts you at risk for developing type 2 diabetes after you have had your baby and so on. So we need to bear that in mind as well.
Oh, yes, because that's one of the things, I mean, you hear some women speak about, and sometimes it's the first time that they're hearing about it themselves and going through it. It's really an eye opener for them. So, um, many of us are lucky we don't go through gestational diabetes, but the persons who have gone through it can tell you. I mean, it's really scary during pregnancy. I've had one or two persons speak about it, and it's really, really scary. And, you know, sometimes that's the last thing on their mind during their pregnancy. And that's exactly what they themselves go through. Um, Having said that, let me just say that diabetes within our community is so common, and persons need to understand that if you control and you manage your blood sugar level, I mean, you can live your normal lifestyle and less financial burden on you, your family, and you're able to continue living your life normal. Then you wait and you say, okay, like Fawn said, you stay in denial. And when it's too late, I mean, you develop glaucoma, or you have a wound that is not healing, you're unable to work. So these are things we just want persons to be, you know, think about it. If you know you have these signs and symptoms, think about these things and seek medical attention. If you're not comfortable at our wellness centers or super hospital, feel free to go to your own private doctor. You can seek, medical attention privately and let them guide you. There is no reason why, you cannot, seek private medical attention because you've seen the signs and symptoms. Fawn, am I missing anything else based on time? I just
Okay.
have
I
That you guys have planned throughout the month to recognize Diabetes Month.
well, um, we're still in the process of organizing a few activities, but like Fawn said, for the radio program, we'll be having throughout the month. We'll be speaking about various aspects of diabetes and how to manage diabetes. But I'm not sure each wellness center might decide on their own activities. So for now, we're still in the planning process for some wellness centers.
And hopefully by next week's program, we will be able to give you a better idea of what the other plans are, not just for this region, but throughout the country. Now, I just wanted to reiterate what Louisa has been saying about management of the condition. Managing diabetes, no matter what you do, there's a saying that no matter what you do, whether you eat everything, whether you don't exercise, whether you don't take the medication, you're managing it, but are you managing it well? So we have to strive to manage the condition well. And as you said, that would help very much in delaying or reducing the risk of some of the complications that are associated with diabetes. So things like stroke, heart attack, um,
Amputation.
getting your legs amputated, having diabetic foot, those ulcers that just are so difficult to heal, losing your sight, whether from diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, cataract, whatever it is. So we need to try to take steps in order to manage well, and there are services in place to help us, to guide us, and we will be highlighting that later in the month.
So, just a few announcements. I know we press for time, but a gentle reminder for the men's health clinic every first and third Wednesday of the month, and the STI clinic. We have our STI clinic at Soufriere Hospital every first Thursday of every month. Every first Thursday of every month, we have STI clinic. That is sexually transmitted infections. And at Fongejac Wellness Center on the 17th of November, there is a vaccination drive. So we're asking persons in the community that wants the vaccine, they'll be offering both the Pfizer as well as the AstraZeneca to come by the Fongejac Wellness Center to get your vaccine. So mark that date, put a reminder on your phone, and we're hoping that we'll see many community members there. Okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Wilson.
Thank you,
and
Lincia.
Miss Minville, for taking time out to join us here on Casualty 911. I'd also like to thank our listeners and our viewers, Margot, Brenda, Annie, Reniata, Mary. Good morning to you guys, and thank you for joining us on Casualty 911. Goodbye.
Bye.